Good morning from sunny New Jersey. This is Leah Genuario, and I'm excited to present to you Chapter 22 on social networks. So let's begin with slide number 1, entitled, What is it? So our textbook gives us a definition, and it says that social networking sites must meet 3 criteria. Those criteria are as follows. Number 1, it must construct a public or semi-public profile within a bounded system. Number 2, it must articulate a list of other uses with whom they share a connection. And number 3, it must view and traverse their list of connections and those made by others within the system. I thought this definition was a little confusing, but I've given you a truncated version there, and it is this. In other words, they are dedicated to the creation and maintenance of personal and business relationships online. A few examples of social networking sites include LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, among many others. And although in my life I've personally used social networking and social media interchangeably, our book does make a distinction. It claims that social networking is a subsector of social media. Social networking is dedicated to creating and maintaining personal and business relationships, and that's the big word there, relationships, whereas social media creates online communities that share information. So really the goals of these two things are slightly different, and that's the distinction. All right, let's move on to the next slide. It's called The History of Social Networks. So although the roots of social networks can be traced all the way to the 1960s, the first identifiable social networking site was only in 1996 with a site called 6degrees.com. This site included a profile and asked registrants to provide email addresses of 10 people. Now the site did succumb to the .com bubble burst of the internet of the 90s, but from that footprint, literally hundreds of other social networking sites began to spring up. We had in 2002 the advent of Friendster, which is really just a social networking site for close friends and families. In 2003, we had the introduction of MySpace, which allowed for the first time users to customize their profiles. And then in 2004, the introduction of Facebook, which started off with a bunch of students, but as we all know, has grown to more than 1 billion users at this point. And of course, social networking continues to grow and evolve. There's now many other examples: Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, and of course, many more. So let's now move to the next slide. It's called New Trends in Social Media. You'll find that there's a link to the Ellen Show on this slide. I'd encourage you to look it up. It's Ellen using Periscope. So Periscope is one type of social networking site that is utilizing live streaming. So live streaming allows users to upload videos in real time. It has been called consensual voyeurism, but it's this idea that you can share life as it's happening. So if you want to film yourself brushing your teeth, I don't really know why anyone would want to see that, you can now do that. So that's the first trend. The second trend is something called cross-platform messaging apps. And although this does not fit perfectly into the social networking category, it does offer users connection and communication for free, even across continents. Examples of this would be WhatsApp, Hangout, and Touch. All right, let's move to our next slide, social media and business. So our book makes a really bold claim, and this is what your question will be later on. This is what your question will involve later on, but it says this: social networking may signal the end of email as the primary mode of business communication, with new business-related apps such as Slack. So basically, our book goes into quite a bit about the business and social media connection. It says that businesses are creating jobs for experts in social media, and that these jobs are mainly related to advertising and customer service. A great recent example of social media, social networking, and corporate America was Wendy's. So Wendy's actually saw tremendous growth from its Twitter feed efforts They actually, according to one article from Deputy.com, they saw a rise in profit of $64 million in a year, so highly effective. We also know, though, that social networking can result in bad business as well. And an example from our textbook is Amy's Bacon Company, which I looked into a little bit. They were being trolled on the internet, and they responded at one point by calling their internet trollers little punks. The book also mentions good examples as well, Nike being one of them. All right, so let's move on. Future of social networking. So one of the biggest things with social networking is that there is a mental health component. We've probably heard the term fear of missing out. There is something happening mentally. However, right now we don't have a great understanding of it. So the future of social networking is understanding that better. What is the connection between mental health and social networking? We're also going to see in the future a change to accessing social media using mobile technologies. I feel like we've already seen this very much in the last couple of years. A pairing of virtual reality and social media, and then a full embrace of social media by businesses. No longer this hesitancy to get involved. They're going to understand that it has great impact, and they're going to begin embracing that and understanding it further. All right, so let's move to our last slide, which is my question for you. I gave you a little warning earlier, but my question is this. Is social networking better suited for business applications than email or phones? And why or why not? Thank you very much. I hope you have a great day. Bye.